Hey guys, what's going on? This is John. Welcome to my NEStalgiaholic show. This episode, I'm going to go way back in the 80s here. And I was trying to think of some books that I was really fond of growing up as a kid. And the first series that came to mind was the Berenstain Bears. And this is, if you guys aren't familiar with the Berenstain Bears, this is a line of children's books. The story, there are 4 bears in the family. I think there are 5 now. You've got Mama Bear, Papa Bear, Brother Bear, Sister Bear. I think now they actually debuted a Honey Bear, which is like a young baby. Anyway, the whole point of these books where there's a story, and it would basically start off where Brother Bear had an issue, and then Papa Bear would get into it and then make the issue worse, and then Mama Bear would kind of step in and show you how to do it right. So it was all about safety, should teach you about morals growing up. And a really fond memory of mine growing up in elementary school in the 80s was actually Scholastic days, where they would, Scholastic was actually they were like distributor of all these children's books. They would come into my elementary school and give you a catalog of books that you can order, whether it was Berenstain Bears, Magic School Bus, Waldo, what have you. And then you could actually order these books, and then there would be a day that in a couple months that they come in and they'd actually deliver these books. I remember being like Christmas, I would order a ton of these books, and Berenstain Bears was one of the priority books that I picked up. So in this video, I'm going to show you my collection of Berenstain Bears books that I still have and own. That I used to have a lot more over the years. They've got misplaced, I've moved, whatnot. And then I also want to talk to you guys briefly about the history of Berenstain Bears. The Berenstain Bears has actually been around for longer than most of you guys may realize. I always think of the Berenstain Bears being the peak in the 80s, only because that's where I grew up really enjoying these books. However, they actually started in early 1960s, 62 to be more specific. And it started off by a couple who got married, Stan and Jan Berenstain, and that's why it's called the Berenstain Bears. And they actually met during World War II in 1941. World War II hit, obviously, and after World War II was over, they got married. They started doing some other work, cartoon art, for other publications. They did some stuff for the Saturday Evening Post. And they got to know a guy named TheEMUreview. I'm probably mispronouncing his last name. But anyway, you guys may not know him by his real name, but he actually wrote The Cat in the Hat, and his book name, his author name, was actually known as Dr. Seuss. So they got to know Dr. Seuss, and Dr. Seuss at the time ran Random House, and Dr. Seuss really worked with the Berenstains actually to kind of come up with a story. And so they approached TheEMUreview at the time to come up with a bear family. And TheEMUreview was very hesitant because you got Yogi Bear, they had Smokey the Bear, and bears are kind of everywhere. So he really urged them to create another type of animal. And the reason that the Berenstains decided to draw the bears was it was really easy to draw for them. And they thought that bears had a general appeal to younger kids, and that's kind of their goal for younger kids. So they created a series, a book, and their first book came out in 1962, so it took 2 years to develop, and that was called The Honey Hunt. And at the time, the book, they go by Stanley and Janice Berenstain. Later on, they just shortened their name to just Stan and Jan Berenstain. Over the year, these books actually were very successful. They've actually put together over 300 different stories. And not only that, but through the years, they've sold over 240 million copies of the Berenstain Bears. It has been translated in 23 different languages, so it's very popular stories. And the one criticism about the Berenstain Bears is that the plots and the story are very predictable. Not only did they actually produce books and publish books, but they had 2 animated series. One actually was from 1983 to 1985. That was on CBS Saturday morning, and that was for a couple years. And actually, as of recently as 2003, PBS started producing a 15-minute mini cartoon based on the Berenstain Bears stories. They'd also have different memorabilia that they produce, and over the years, actually, the merchandise for Berenstain Bears actually equates to about $50 million. So it's very successful. Stan passed away, unfortunately, in 2005, but his sons, Theo and his other son, actually started working on the series as well. So Berenstain Bears is still around. They did create some other educational games for classic computers like Commodore 64 and stuff like that back in the day. So without any further ado, let me show you some of my collection of Berenstain Bears. I'm really curious if you guys remember these, if maybe you had the same ones I own. If you had different ones, please share and let me know. And let me know what your favorite children's series books growing up are. Okay, so I still have a handful of books left. This is the one I was holding before. This is Get in a Fight. and this is by, it says Stan and Jan Berenstain on every cover, and it's first-time books. This lists other Berenstain Bears books in the back. A lot of people think that the one reason they had bears was because their name was Berenstain, and they deny that's the case. These retail, this at the time was retail for about $2, $1.95, and very well animated stories here in every single book. This copyright is 1982, and this particular book came out in 1982. It's not for the story, and you know, always the brother and sister always get in a fight, never really got along. It seemed like the guys in the story are kind of unorganized, and so always the girls, the mom and the sister, kind of always put things in the right way anyway. But there's always lessons to be learned. Go out for the team. Talks about trying out for a sports team. Same back. You got Double Dare. Kids, I think, are kind of putting peer pressure on Brother Bear, and how he handles peer pressure is kind of the moral of this one. This one came out in 1988, so they've been doing this for quite a while. Blaze a Trail. Trick or Treat, this is one of my favorite ones. I remember this one came out, Trick or Treat. What's the copyright on this? 1989. That's crazy. It's like yesterday, man. I remember when this guy came out. And I remember it's funny because in the back here, they get like carameled apples and stuff like that, I think. Like, who does that anymore? Who puts out like candied apples? No one can trust people anymore. It's pretty scary nowadays. I don't know if I would trust someone with the candy apples anymore. Kind of sad. Things have changed over, definitely. This is the big road race. I think this is an older one, actually. This came out 1987. I don't know, maybe not. Weekend at Grandma's. Definitely remember that one. Visit the Dentist. I always hated going to the dentist growing up. Trouble with Money. How to kind of save money. Trouble at School. Troubles with Pets. They have a lot of troubles in the Berenstain family. Trouble with Friends. Too Much Vacation. Is there such a thing as Too Much Vacation? Oh, this is different backing right here. This shows you the other back here. And when did this come out? 1989 as well. And Too Much Junk Food. Too Much TV. So they're getting in trouble a lot, and they have too much of everything. It's Slumber Party. Prize Pumpkin. On the Job. No Girls Allowed. About Equality. 1986. I remember watching, there was a cartoon. I remember watching this cartoon, No Girls Allowed. Missing Honey. And earlier, the earlier Berenstain books were actually a lot longer, taller, I should say, In the Crowd, and Messy Room is the last one I have. So I found these the other day. I kind of reminded me of the series and wanted to share with you guys. So certainly if you guys remember these, let me know. Let me know what your favorite story was. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you soon. Take care.